Deep within the archives of antiquity lies a fragile 3,500-year-old Egyptian medical text known as the Ebers Papyrus. Amidst its cryptic incantations and complex recipes, it speaks of a profound remedy for a universal human affliction. The scribes documented a specific tree, one whose very essence could banish the fire of inflammation from aching joints and soothe the fevered brow. How did a civilization, devoid of microscopes and molecular chemistry, pinpoint the exact botanical source of pain relief that would eventually conquer the modern world? The answer thrives along the damp, shaded banks of rivers and streams across the northern hemisphere. The willow tree, with its sweeping branches and slender silver-green leaves, is a master of survival in waterlogged soils. For millennia, this resilient plant has silently manufactured a potent chemical defense against the rot and disease rampant in its humid environment. It is within the inner bark of this graceful giant that nature hid a molecular key perfectly shaped to unlock human healing. Across the Mediterranean, the towering figure of ancient Greek medicine, Hippocrates, observed the profound effects of this riparian tree. Around 400 BC, he meticulously recorded a practice that was likely already ancient, advising women in the throes of childbirth to chew on the bitter strips of willow bark. He prescribed a tea brewed from its leaves to those burning with dangerous fevers, trusting the plant's innate ability to cool the body and dull the sharpest agonies of existence. This botanical intuition was not confined to the ancient Mediterranean. An ocean away, long before European ships breached the horizon, indigenous remedies relied on the exact same genus of tree. Native American healers carefully harvested the bark of the black willow, preparing a potent decoction, a method of boiling down woody plant material to extract its active essence, to treat everything from headaches to the deep, aching pains of the harsh winters. The quiet wisdom of those early healers fueled scientific inquiry centuries later, as the world transitioned from medieval folklore to the dawn of the Enlightenment. In the mid-18th century, an English clergyman named Edward Stone found himself wandering the damp meadows of Oxfordshire, guided by an old philosophical concept suggesting that the cure for a disease is often found in the same environment where the disease thrives. Stone tasted the fiercely bitter bark of the white willow, noting its striking resemblance to the expensive cinchona bark used to treat malaria. Driven by this bitter revelation, Stone gathered the bark, dried it over a baker's oven, and pulverized it into a fine powder. He administered this crude preparation to 50 parishioners suffering from rheumatic fevers, meticulously documenting the dramatic reduction in their temperatures and the easing of their bodily torment. In 1763, he presented his findings in a formal letter to the Royal Society of London, effectively dragging the ancient secret of the trees out of the realm of folklore and into the rigorous light of empirical science. The scientific race was now officially ignited, prompting 19th-century chemists to hunt for the specific phytochemicals, the biologically active compounds produced by plants for defense and growth, responsible for this miraculous relief. In 1828, a German pharmacologist named Johann Buchner successfully extracted a tiny amount of yellow needle-like crystals from a massive cauldron of boiling willow bark. He named this isolated compound Salicin, drawing directly from Salix, the Latin botanical name for the willow family. Salicin proved to be a remarkable molecule, yet it was only a precursor to the true agent of relief. When a human consumes willow bark, the digestive system goes to work, breaking down the salicin and converting it within the liver into salicylic acid. This newly formed acid is the actual powerhouse, sweeping through the bloodstream to aggressively combat inflammation and lower the body's internal thermostat. However, this botanical triumph harboured a dark and painful flaw. As doctors across Europe began prescribing purified salicylic acid for severe arthritis and chronic pain, a widespread medical crisis emerged. The acid was notoriously harsh, burning the delicate lining of the stomach and causing severe gastric distress, nausea, and internal bleeding, making the cure feel almost as punishing as the disease it was meant to vanquish. The echoes of those harsh treatments demanded a chemical revolution. In 1897, a young chemist named Felix Hoffmann, working for the German dye and pharmaceutical company Bayer, was driven by a deeply personal mission. His father suffered from crippling rheumatism, but could no longer tolerate the agonizing side effects of raw salicylic acid, prompting Hoffmann to search for a way to chemically tame the aggressive compound without destroying its healing power. Hoffmann pored over existing chemical literature and successfully revived a forgotten process to attach an acetyl group to the salicylic acid molecule. This brilliant chemical manipulation created acetyl salicylic acid, a modified version that passed gently through the acidic environment of the stomach, only releasing its active pain-relieving payload once it reached the more alkaline environment of the intestines. The harshness was buffered, yet the profound relief remained entirely intact. Bayer recognized the monumental value of Hoffmann's synthesis and swiftly moved to patent and brand the new drug. They named it Aspirin, combining the letter A for acetyl with spear from Spirea ulmaria, another plant source of salicylic acid, creating one of the most recognized words in human history. The raw, ancient bark chewed by suffering ancestors had been definitively transformed into a mass-produced, elegantly packaged pharmaceutical marvel. The democratization of pain relief that followed altered the fabric of modern society. Aspirin became an indispensable staple in households across the globe, a cheap, reliable, and universally accessible defense against the everyday aches, fevers, and inflammatory miseries that had plagued humanity since the dawn of time. It was carried into battlefields, packed into the medical kits of early astronauts, and trusted by billions as a foundational pillar of modern healthcare. Yet, long before it conquered the modern medicine cabinet, the willow tree utilized these very compounds for its own survival. Within the living tree, salicin functions as an adaptogen, a natural substance that helps organisms manage stress and restore balance, regulating the plant's response to drought, extreme temperatures, and pathogenic attacks. The tree literally medicates itself against the harsh realities of its environment, inadvertently creating a molecular structure perfectly compatible with human biology. Today, a growing faction of researchers is returning to the source, re-examining the benefits of whole plant medicine compared to isolated pharmaceutical derivatives. Modern studies suggest that the complex matrix of polyphenols and flavonoids naturally present in raw willow bark may work synergistically with salicin, offering a gentler, more sustained form of pain relief. This entourage effect implies that the whole botanical organism might possess a balanced therapeutic wisdom that single-molecule drugs struggle to replicate. The realization of this complex botanical synergy casts a new light on even older historical records. Decades before the translation of the Ebers papyrus, archaeologists unearthed ancient Sumerian clay tablets from the cradle of civilization in Mesopotamia. Etched into these fragile artifacts, dating back over 4,000 years, were prescriptions detailing the use of willow leaves to alleviate the agonizing pain of inflamed joints and muscles. This astonishing global convergence is a cornerstone of ethnobotany, the scientific study of the traditional knowledge and customs of a people concerning plants and their medical, religious, and other uses. From the sun-baked plains of Mesopotamia to the dense forests of North America, and from the scholarly halls of ancient Greece to the damp meadows of England, completely unconnected civilizations independently discovered the exact same botanical answer to human suffering. The biological mechanism that unites these disparate historical threads was finally unraveled in the late 20th century. Scientists discovered that the active compounds derived from the willow tree work by inhibiting the body's production of prostaglandins. These lipid compounds are the body's chemical messengers of pain and inflammation, the localized sirens that alert the brain to tissue damage, trigger the heat of a fever, and cause the swelling of injured joints. By shutting down the cyclooxygenase enzymes responsible for manufacturing these pain messengers, aspirin and its botanical ancestor effectively silence the body's alarm system. This groundbreaking discovery of the prostaglandin mechanism earned the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1982. It provided the ultimate scientific validation for the raw, empirical wisdom of the early healers who instinctively reached for the willow branch. As the 20th century progressed, the legacy of this ancient remedy expanded far beyond the simple alleviation of aches and fevers. Medical researchers began to notice a fascinating side effect among patients who regularly consumed aspirin. The drug was actively interfering with the blood's ability to clot, a property that would soon revolutionize the field of preventative cardiology. Clinical trials eventually confirmed that low doses of aspirin could significantly reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes by preventing platelets from clumping together in narrowed arteries. The same molecular structure that cooled the fevers of ancient Greeks was now being deployed to protect the vital cardiovascular networks of millions of modern patients. The scope of the willow's healing potential seemed continuously capable of reinventing itself. This enduring versatility is deeply rooted in the evolutionary history of the Salix genus itself. Willows are pioneer species, often the first to colonize disturbed, unstable, or flooded terrains, rapidly sending out extensive root systems to anchor the soil. The intense biological vitality required to thrive in such precarious environments is mirrored in the aggressive, potent chemistry flowing through their sapwood and inner bark. There is a profound poetry in the relationship between human frailty and the botanical world's resilience. For thousands of years, humanity was at the mercy of its physical environment, yet the very landscape that delivered harsh winters, joint-swelling dampness, and infectious fevers also provided the perfect, naturally synthesized antidote. The willow stands as a silent testament to the intricate, life-sustaining web connecting human biology to the Earth's flora. Looking back across the vast expanse of medical history, the intuitive genius of Hippocrates and the countless unnamed indigenous healers becomes truly awe-inspiring. They possess no laboratories, no molecular models, and no understanding of enzymes or prostaglandins. Yet, through acute observation and an intimate connection to the natural world, they successfully identified and harnessed one of the most powerful pharmacological agents on the planet. The journey from a bitter strip of bark chewed by a riverbank to the pristine white tablets found in every pharmacy is a triumph of human curiosity and scientific endeavor. Aspirin's origins remind us that the foundations of modern medicine are deeply rooted in the ancient soil. Willow Bark's legacy is not merely a chapter in the history of pharmacology, It is a timeless reminder of nature's enduring power to heal, comfort, and sustain human life.